Today we're going to do some inspired dupes from Michaels. I'm Brandy and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome. We're going to start off with the black lace bottle. So I've got this jar here, and this was just a pepper jar. It had some jalapenos in it. Removed all the adhesive and the paper off of it. I like the shape. Here's a little cameo button. Got a little bit of ribbon and some lace trim. I didn't have a flat piece, so this is, like a curved piece, but we're going to fix it. We're going to start by cutting the back off of this. It's just a plastic cameo button. We're just going to take that off so it's flat. I'll add some hot glue on the back just to make sure that the upper piece doesn't slide out of the back, because the front's like an overlay and they're connected in the middle. To keep this from being rounded, I am going to take some scissors and go right next to the little piece of lace that overlaps the top that holds the little pleats together, and I'm just going to cut that off. This will allow us to lay it flat and be able to use it on a flat surface. So I'm just going to cut, this is like a section off. I haven't even measured it yet. I'm just cutting off a little section of it. And then I'll decide how much I need, go around the bottle and see how much I need, and then, trim off a little bit. And this bottle doesn't roll because it actually has the kind of a flat circle, And I'm going to wrap it around the bottom and decide, do I like it like that? Oh, let's double it up. Let's double it up and then make it look like one bigger piece. And we can accomplish that by two of the same size, and we'll just line our patterns up. Why not? So I'm going to start off by just wrapping it around the bottle. I want one side to definitely be the back and one to be the front. So, you can line up your seams on the side. You can do it in the center of the back. I'm just going to do it sort of toward the center of the back. I'll trim off what I know I don't need just to get it out of the way for when I glue it down. And my pattern, I want those to match up, and they do. So that's perfect. It works great for this bottle or this jar. It's, I guess, a multi-purpose piece. The one in Michaels is actually a different type of a bottle, but you get pretty much the same look. I'm going to leave the link to Michaels, that Nevermore collection, so you can go and see what the originals look like. All right. So I'll just line my pattern up there, and I'm doing it high up because I'm going to put the other piece under it. Just going to smear the glue on there, right? We don't want any chunks showing through. We want this to be high end. I always want to give you those tips that are going to make your items look high end. I was so excited, y'all, whenever I saw that this was sort of a spooky collection that they're doing in the summertime. I mean, does Michaels know about Halloween? Do they know that there are people who are spooky lifers? They must know. So, of course, I jumped right on and thought, you know what, I can recreate this, and we don't have to pay a fortune for it. We can get the same kind of looks. I'm not doing identical dupes. They're inspired dupes to get the same kind of look in our homes. So I hope this video is something that you're going to enjoy, because we're doing 5 of them, okay? There are 5 in here, and some of them are very simple, like this one is pretty simple, and then a couple require a little more work and dry time on paint, really. Okay, so now I've got them lined up as close as I can get them, and you can see that the pattern is going to match. I love it. And now I can just trim up what I need to trim up and make sure that my pieces aren't flapping around. We don't want them to be loose, because they'll catch on things when you're trying to move them around or clean them, or perhaps put some flowers or whatever you want to do with it. So we want everything to be in place, but we don't want the glue to be so obvious. You could use a different type of adhesive if you wanted to, but I wouldn't use anything that would be cloudy, because it's going to take away from that look of the clear glass under the lace. And I like the ease and the, having the glue gun right there to use that, but I don't like the strings and the bulkiness of the hot glue. So I'm going to be thinking about what I can use to hold those pieces together. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and paint the top of this jar. Now, on the bottle that they had, it's actually rounded, but for me, I want to kind of disguise the ring on the top, just make it look a little bit better. And when I say ring, I just mean the part that you screw on. So I'm going to go underneath it and try to make it as straight as possible, make a nice clean line under here, and paint this all black. You can also go down on the inside of it as well if you want to make that matte. So I thought, okay, look, I'm going to grab the Mod Podge, and I'm just going to put the Mod Podge with a skinny brush right down the middle where the two pieces meet. This has held. I have not had a problem with it. I chose matte, but I'm going right over the lace and not down onto the glass that's in the bottle. It's not something you even have to worry about if you've got a wide enough piece of black lace. And some people probably already have this, or perhaps you could use like fishnet stocking, you know, anything you might have in your costume drawer, whatever you want to do here. You could also stencil on lace if you want to make a lace stencil. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure that all my pieces are touching like they should be while I let them dry. Lining that up perfectly. It's very easy to slide. All right, it is dry and I love it. It worked great. Yes, I love it when a plan comes to fruition, don't you? So we can use satin here if we want to, because that's what they had on their bottle. But I chose this little scrap that I have from my Halloween stash. It is very pretty. It's got a velvet in the middle and then lace on both sides. And it is stretchy. I'm going to use this to go right around here. I'm not going to pull the stretchiness out because I don't want it to pop off when I glue it. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue on the most outside part of where you screw that on, right? Because I don't want to sink this down into the treads or the threads of that where you would put the jar lid. Y'all, my hands are a mess. Look at the paint underneath my little tiny short fingernails. Okay. Now I'm going to go up. I'm just going to wrap it around the back so that I have some of the lace overlapping on the top, because I think that that's a nice feminine look. And then I'll just take my scissors and trim it off. And then voila, there's that part. And I'm glad that I did it this way. I do like that part of it. Now that I have it lined up where I want it, I'll add my last little dot or two of glue and pull it back down, and you can see that's the benefit of it being stretchy, and just hold everything in place. Now I'll take my cameo button, add some hot glue, and put it in the front center of the jar. This is not an exact duplicate, but it is very close to what they have at Michael's. And I do apologize to y'all. I did not have the time today to do the comparison, like a side-by-side shot. So I'm just going to show you what I have, and I'll share the link with you so you can go to Michael's and see exactly what I'm talking about. I know y'all know how it is. We get busy sometimes. We get busy. Hey, come check out my new videos on Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. I'll see you in the comments. The next is going to be a gold riser tray. And the names are not exactly the same. Okay, so I'm going to take some more of that chalk paint, brush, or two brushes, you know, depends. Then I've got these little pieces I'm going to use for legs, and then they used gold. So I'm going to use the gold here. It's a brushed gold. And this is just a little box that a toy set came in, like an instrument set from Melissa and Doug. I like to find these at the thrift store. And y'all, I have to tell you too, everything that I used in these videos, I already had at my house. I did not have to leave my house to go get anything. That's how much I love this type of decor. I love to create it and share this with y'all. So I'm just going to take that black paint, and the reason I'm using chalk paint, for many reasons. It's thick, you don't have to use as many layers, it dries fast, and it is matte, and that is the same finish that they have on the pieces that that I'm trying to kind of be inspired by, right? No, I did not pull my sticker off. I didn't want to waste the time. Okay, so now that everything is painted, I'm going to take those legs and decide where I want to put them. Now their legs are a bit more ornate, they're more curvy, but I just wanted to show you that you can use what you have to get a similar look without having to go out and buy anything. So that's what I'm doing here.
Welcome aboard the Crafty Cruise Getaway, where creativity sets sail once again. Join us on Royal Caribbean's Mariner of the Seas, sailing out of the port of Galveston, Texas.
Prepare to be dazzled as we stop in Costa Maya and in Cozumel. Just like our maiden voyage, we will host exclusive crafting workshops on sea days. We have some amazing projects lined up for you that guarantee something for everyone to enjoy.
For the Crafty Cruise Getaway 2025, we're introducing our newest sponsor, We Create. Elevate your crafting with the state-of-the-art laser engraver and cutter, valued at over $1,500. We are thrilled to give away one of these amazing lasers as a door prize to one lucky participant.
Mark your calendars for February 17th through the 22nd and join us on the Crafty Cruise Getaway for creativity, relaxation, and lasting memories. To book your spot, visit www.craftycruisegetaway.com. See you on board in 2025.
Thank y'all for checking out that little ad right there while we are doing our crafting. There we go. Everything is together. Now we're going to move on to making this gold. And it's kind of like a tarnished, maybe a tarnished looking color, a tarnished gold. We're going to start adding this onto that beautiful matte black. Now, you know, if you have some spray paint that is matte black and you want to use that, you can. If you have an acrylic matte black, you can use that as well. So just think about what you do have and how you can use those things in your projects. I'm going to just use a chippy brush here to go around. I'm using a smaller one, but you will see me change over to a bigger one. And it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter which one you use. It doesn't give that much of a different look. But I like the idea of, you know, if you put on something a little bit heavier, you can use a brush that is dry to kind of buff it in. It's not going to wipe it away, but it will buff the color out a little bit so it's not so strong looking. But there are other ways to fix that as well, so don't be afraid to paint, right? What you see me doing is loading the paint onto the brush and then tapping the excess up into the bristles in that little paint tray over there. So now I'm showing you this is a dry brush. I felt like I went a little heavy-handed, so I just went with my dry brush and blended it out. Just like when you do your makeup and you put your makeup on and you blend it out, right? Sort of the same anyway. Same idea. So I'm going to go around and do each of the legs, and then we'll start on the box. I'm not going to do the underneath sides, really no point in it. That's me tapping on the table there on that piece of cardboard because I'm offloading a little bit of the paint. I don't want to put too much on. But like I said, there are ways to fix that if you do. I like to start in my corners and then go inward and then do a little flicking motion around the edges on the top and the bottom, and then just kind of rub the excess right into the middle so that it's heavier on the corners and lighter in the middle. This is totally for taste. Whichever way you like it best will definitely work. Ideally, any place that you are putting your hands repetitively, so like if you were picking this table up, you're going to grab it on the flat surfaces, right? Well, that's where it would rub off the paint or the finish naturally in an aging process. So that's why I use the technique and I do it that way. That's my reasoning behind it. But like I said, I encourage you on this channel when you come over here to always feel free to make it your own. I do not expect you to copy every project I make or do every craft that I do in every video. But if there's something that inspires you and it would look good in your home that you feel like you want to have, then go ahead and give it a try. You know, it's just a little paint. You can always fix it, right? Give yourself those creative wings to fly. Okay, so now we're going to just keep going in the same way, and I'm going to go all the way around, but I'm not going to do the bottom. I'm not even going to bother with that. And I'm a little out of focus here. I apologize. It's trying to focus on the legs below for some reason. Then we can start on the inside and the upper part of the box because we don't want to leave that out either. So I'm going to go around with the brush and just go over the edges, and you can see that really highlights and shows the edges there. Their box did not have the corner pieces, obviously, but that doesn't matter to me. That can be something you highlight, that could be something you leave black so that kind of fades into the background, right? Then I'm going to start working on the inside, starting on the sides, and then pulling toward the center. And the amount of pressure you use when you put this down is also going to determine how much paint comes off onto the piece that you're doing underneath. So I'll go a little heavier handed into the corners and a little heavier handed onto the sides. And then again, like I say, the places that you normally would have wear and tear on a table are in the center. So those are the places that would have less paint. I hope that makes sense to you. Putting it that way, I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so now we're going to continue along and do the inside. And I know I'm showing you like y'all don't know how to paint. That's not it. It's just that you want to be sure you're completing your piece all the way around, right? So we're going to do every surface except the underneath side, but you're welcome to do that too if you want. And this is how it's going to look so far. You see where I got heavy-handed? I'm going to take a tiny bit of black on that same brush that had the gold on it, pat some of it off, and then blend that in. And now that looks much better to me that I don't have that big chunk or big splotch of gold there. But it could have left it. That would have been fine too. Of course, go all the way over your project, lift it up, turn it around, and make sure that it's exactly how you like it. And I think this is a good option. You could also trim out your sides with little metal work if you would like. The legs on their project was almost like a solid gold color. And I went a lot lighter than that so that they didn't stand out, so that they were very similar to the little tray itself. And I like it like this because I wanted to make it my own. You certainly can make yours your own and make solid legs if you would like. I'll show you that in project. Thank you to my channel members. I love each and every one of you for the contribution you make to my channel. The next is the wall cubby. Love this one. All right, I've got some sprays to distress with. I have some little corner pieces, little wood piece, and some paper I just thrifted, chalk paint, and some more of that gold. There's a theme here. I'm going to have a variety of tools that I use for this project. And this box. This is another box that had toys of some sort in it. Here's you an idea of the measurements. I love to pick up wooden boxes when I am thrifting. So it's about 14 by 9. This is where it came from. And it is wood and MDF, I believe. Now these little spacers in here will actually pull out. So I'm going to remove those. I thought that taking the backing off of the sides of this was going to be a lot more difficult, so I had the hammer. But come to find out, see, when I tap it, it just kind of breaks away fairly easily. The adhesive just let go, and I'm so glad. What I was doing was scraping off the residue from the adhesive that was under there, holding those little rails in place. Now I'm carefully pulling this up because I don't want to peel anything or break anything, and then using this little scraper tool, which is a cheese knife, y'all. I know, thrifted it. It's perfect to do this with. I'm telling you, think outside the box. I'm going to go along here and get all the residue off. We're going to make it nice and smooth. Same thing here on each of those little rails. We're going to go through there and take all that off. All that old glue is coming off. We want everything to look nice and crisp once it's painted. Now we're going to lay the paper down and cut a piece off that's going to overlay slightly. I'm going to paint the back brown. My thought for painting this brown is that it would make it darker when the white was put on top. We're going to age that paper. So we're going to do that by distressing it with a little bit of spray. So I put the tea-colored spray. Now I'm putting down the walnut. You can use a little bit of paper, like a paper towel, to kind of blot it a little bit. I don't want the paper to be soaking wet, right? If I get it too wet with too many layers, and there goes the silver that I'm putting on, then it's not going to dry, and it could possibly tear, and I don't want that to happen because you have to allow some dry time. So I'm just patting off the heavier spots there, and I am going to start painting while that is drying. So I'm painting here, and I am adding black on every piece. I'm going to add it to the rails, and I'm going to add it to the backing. So now this is dry. It is not dark enough for me, so I'm thinking, what can I do? And I have an idea. I'm going to use spray paint. I'm going to use some matte black to spritz, and I'm going to use some brown to spritz. We'll let that dry and start painting the wood and the metal pieces. I want them to be the same finish, and as it stands, the metal pieces are a bronze color. I want them all to be matte black. Now look at the paper. I'm so excited. When you look over at the Michaels piece, you can see that they're using like a rose background. I didn't have any rose paper of any sort. So, and it does look like it's splotchy, like it's kind of spritzed on there. You'll see what I'm talking about when you go look at it, though. I think I did a pretty good job getting the idea, though. So I'm just going to attach this down with a little bit of school glue. It is purple. It fades to white, or to clear, actually. It fades to like invisible. And I love to use this when putting stuff down so it doesn't take as long to dry. And it does a good job. I'm going to flip it upside down, kind of getting it, toward the center of where I'm going here with this backing in the paper. Just going to press it down a little bit, and then I'll grab my little squeegee. And this is a Mod Podge squeegee, but you can use, any type of squeegee that you have. And I'm just going to go down, 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 like from the middle outward, preferably if it's wet. But with the glue, it's a little more forgiving. In fact, if you have a decent quality paper, you can actually lift it up if you get a bubble and gently lay it back down. So I'm going to go all over this entire thing. And right where that paper seam is, you can definitely iron your paper if you want to, but I wasn't bothered with that day. Once that is dried, I'm going to go around with my sanding block and shear it off on the edges. This is going to give it a nice even finish, and it is so much easier than using scissors if you are new to my channel. This is such an easy way to do it. Many, many crafters do it this way, and it just gives such a good, clean finish. And look, y'all, look at that. Look how that's going to look together. Oh, makes my little heart so happy. Okay. So now what do we do? You could actually at this point put the little rails back in it. I'm calling them rails. You could put the rails back in it first, but I was able to do it afterwards. So you just use whatever type of adhesive you like. I like the idea of using something that is not as thick as hot glue, and then use the hot glue just in small sections to hold it until the other glue dries. This makes it easier for me. So face down, because this is the back side of it, right? We're going to put it down, quickly get it in place before your hot glue dries, and then rub off any of the excess glue that squeezes out. Just try to go light on it. But even when I went light, I still made a mess, because I'm a messy crafter. And then take something to weigh it down, or use clamps to hold it in place until it dries. So now I'm going to replace my rails, which now we're going to call these the little shelves, right? Because this is going to be standing. So I'm going to put the shelves in. I'm just going to put these down in here, right back into the original slots they came out of. They all fit perfectly back in place. I'll take a black paint, and then I'm going to use just a sponge brush, but you can use a regular brush for this. You don't have to have a sponge brush. And then go over all the edges and the back. I'm going to cover all of this up to make it pretty. Now, because I don't do the numbers on this channel, I measured the little cabinet here, or the cubby, and then I measured a stick and cut the stick. I'm laying the stick underneath my little beautiful piece here, wooden piece, and then using it to measure, right? It works for me. This is how my brain works, y'all. I'm not a mathematician. I'm an artist. It's different. So I'm just going to use a utility knife to kind of cut into this to weaken it and give me my spot where I need to snap it off. You can use any way you want to cut your pieces. I thought about using those little cutters there, but it scared me a little bit. I didn't want the entire piece to crack or break off, so I just weakened it and then snapped it with my hands. I'm going to go over that with a sander, and then I'm going to add some of that black paint on there to finish the edges off. And they are not perfect, but you don't even notice with this matte paint. You really don't. So I'm going to find placement, which will be the top of our little cubby, and decide where I want to attach it. And I know that I need to put glue only really where it's going to be touching. I don't want it to be kind of oozing out of those little open spots. We don't want that to happen. That's not going to look good. But if it does happen, scrape it off while it's still wet and put some more paint on it, right? Yes. Okay, so on the back for a little additional support, I have a little coffee stirrer stick. I'm going to add hot glue on here, just squeezing it out on the areas that are touching the back, not where the open spots are. I hope that makes sense what I'm saying to you. And then I'm just going to break this little stick in my hand and put it right over where I put the glue. So you won't see the stick behind it and you won't see any glue. Okay? And then after I get them in place, I'm going to take my black paint and go right over the top, and that's going to kind of blend it out where you don't really notice it and you still have some support. Now we can add down those black pieces, little metal pieces here, and I just did it with glue, but you could hammer them in, whichever way you want to do it. And then we're going to put the gold right on top. You can see that I'm going over the top. I know you can't see in the bottom corner there, and I do apologize, but you can see what I'm doing here on the top. I'm just dragging the brush on the side over those areas. Okay? And then we're going to do, of course, each little shelf. You can see the little flicking motion with my hand up and down from my wrist. And then I'll go over the edge of each little shelf. We'll go over the sides as well. And it really makes that pop. Do you see the difference? It really makes a difference there. Now in Michael's piece, they had some ornate pieces that went all the way down the side, but I didn't have anything like that to decorate mine. But I think I make up for it, and that it looks fine just the same without that piece on there. But, theirs is gorgeous, obviously. But I don't want to pay $59 for it. Do you? Mm-mm. Okay, so now we're getting up to the top. Be sure I get my corners. And then we'll get ready to do that beautiful wood piece on top. Now the wood piece and the little metal pieces came from Temu. This is not a sponsored video. I just use a lot of their products, because they have such a good variety of things. And people all over the world can order from Temu, whereas there are a lot of places in the world who do not have Dollar Tree and the types of stores that we have here. So I want to give variety to everybody. Y'all look at that. It looks metal. Does that not look like a metal piece on the top? I absolutely love it. And I'm so glad that places that design for like Michael's and the hobby stores and decor stores, that they have people who are designing pieces for everybody in every style of home to love, right? They do such a good job. And I definitely don't intend for any crafter to take away from them, right? If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I am on my way to 100,000 subscribers, hopefully by Halloween. That is my goal, and I'd love to have you as part of that journey. And also, if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. It helps me know to keep creating the kind of content that you enjoy. Look how this looks. After it is all nice and dry, we can hang it up, but I didn't have a hanger on my backdrop, so I just have it propped up right now on a little easel. Look at it. Man, that paint is really something. I love getting paint. I love buying paint, searching through paint, getting paint. I love it. And I love thrifted paint. Look at all the goodness in that little cubby. What would you put in your little cubby if you had one at your house? I would love to know. You have a collection of something? The next is going to be an iron bird cage. So this is a bird cage I already had. I've used it in other projects, and it's actually been displayed in my studio area. I'm going to use some black spray paint that I thrifted. And then I have some little feet. These also came from Temu. Came in a 4-pack, but I'm only going to use 3. This is a Dollar Tree pick. We'll use the hydrangea off of it. And then this is just a little wired vine and a wooden circle, excuse me. Geez, what is wrong with my mouth today? Okay, so then we're going to just take this and wrap it all around this bird cage. Now, originally, I wrapped it in a circular pattern like this because I thought that's what I was looking at on their site, but actually it was not. So I start off by wrapping it this way, and you could certainly do it this way too. Kind of left a little space in between, and then would wrap an area around and then continue around. You can see how I'm doing that. I'm like, okay, well, like every third or fourth, and wrap it around, and then go down a little bit. Like, this is why I don't do the numbers. And then I was like, no, we're not doing all that. So I just started randomly wrapping it around there until I got that whole piece on there. And then, of course, I went and referred to the website because I thought, no, that don't look like mine. I will be fixing that in just a minute, though. So here are the little hydrangea pieces. I chose those because they have 4 petals, and I think there's like 5 petals on the ones on the website, but they're a real simple flower. So I thought, okay, well, this will work for that for sure. It'll lay flat. It's going to be easy to spray paint, and you know, it'll work. We're going to use what we have. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just sporadically placing down some of these petals here and there. They do have one little spot though that doesn't even have like a vine attached to it. So I randomly poked one up there too, you know, just because. So now you see that I have went and looked at the picture, and I'm going to start just picking little areas to clip it apart. Just going to clip it apart, and then I'll wrap those sections where they end around the metal pieces, just right around the frame, so that there are like broken pieces. And so here's the one that's just randomly up there, because they had one like that too. Their birdcage opens at the top. Mine does not. Mine is open from the bottom. If I were going to put anything in there, it would be a different story, but I don't intend to. I'm going to take that gold and put 2 coats of paint on each one of these feet, and I'm going to go all the way up to the top part here, and I just put 1 coat on the back, just a little bit, just in case, you know, you can see underneath. We'll spare our paint, save our money, right? Give those a chance to dry, and then we're going to move on. This has been outside. I spray painted with that paint, and y'all, it has the perfect matte finish and dries super, super fast. Super fast. I am very pleased with my thrifted paint find. All right, so luckily my round fit right on the inside. I already measured, I already knew, and I did a dry run, so I knew it was going to fit. And it sits right on top of the little hooked places that were already on the bottom. See the little metal hooks? Fit right in there. That's perfect. I don't even have to glue it or do anything with it to hold it in place, because it's tightly held in place. Here are those feet, and I chose 3 instead of 4 feet because there are 3 of those little hooked areas underneath, and I wanted to space those out near each one of those areas so that it'll give it an even distance. So I'm using E6000, and then I'll use hot glue to put on the bottom of here, right next to that little hook area. Hold it down. I hold it a little longer than I show you. I just edited that out. And then we'll go along and do the same thing at the next little hook section. Now, if you use a regular spray paint to do this, be sure that you give it time to dry in between each application so you don't have smears and runs all over the place. Then after you have all the feet on, this is how it's going to look. I think this is very pretty. I can see this for sure with a raven inside of it or an owl inside of it. Yeah, I really could. But you can do anything you want with your bird cage. You could certainly, theirs is actually one that you can hang. So it's totally up to you what you use, but mine is just a thrifted piece, and I was happy to already have it right here in my stash. The next is a black glass candle holder. This is the easiest one, y'all, so hang on. We're going to go back to our black chalk paint, a paintbrush, and this is a fake milk glass vase. How easy is this? Now they're calling theirs candle holders, but they look like vases to me, so I thought this is exactly something that any of us can do. And you can do it quickly, and you can do a set of them. You could do a variety of them. I can see these sitting on a fireplace, mantle, all year long with your candles in them. I'm actually going to be using battery operated candles, and if you're interested, let me know. And the candle that I'm using is one that I have already done a makeover on. Yes, I made over a candle, y'all. But if you're interested in how I did that, let me know and I'll give you the link to the video where I actually created that. In fact, I have lots of videos that are moody like this is. So if you're interested in that, be sure you check out my playlists. Once it is dry, this is one coat of paint. We're going to put matte clear on top of it, and this is the result. And yes, I see I have some scratch spots there. There's the candle. It is battery operated. This is how this piece turned out. So be sure you go to Michael's and check out every one of these so you can see how good I did. And if you like these projects, like I said, be sure you check out the little rectangle that I'm going to drop here for you. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you soon. Bye!